I have in front of me today a large black case. So large that, as you can see, it doesn't even fit on my camera. I need to get a wider setup. But inside of this large black bag is a light. A very special, very unique light. I think I've actually seen it reviewed on a couple of other channels, so I was definitely interested when they reached out and asked if I wanted to take a look at it. In this bag is the Falcon RX-24TDX. And that name, in my opinion, could use a little work. But let's just open it up, take a look at it, see what makes it unique and special, and see if it's worth what they would charge for it, which is $500. Here we go. So inside of this bag, there's an awful lot of things. Of course, start off with the instruction manual, which has a lot of Chinese on it, but it does have some English. You got a little diagram of the LED panel. By the way, LED light panel, if I hadn't mentioned that. Operating instructions and specifications for a bunch of different lights, which you can see over here, the RX-24TDX. It has 756 LEDs on it. It's 150 watts. It is bicolor, so it goes between 3000 and 5600 Kelvin. They also included this. It's all in Chinese, and from the look of it, I guess maybe it's the warranty card. I don't know. I don't speak Chinese. I don't read it. Sorry. Moving on down, we've got a bag full of Velcro. We'll see what this is for in a minute as well. Large white box. And this is apparently the control mechanism. There's also a little card holder and a wireless antenna. It actually looks like the wireless antenna attaches over here, like that. There's a switch on this end that goes 1 or 2. 1 is for the V-mount battery on the back. 2 is for the AC adapter, which should be included. We'll keep looking. Then you've got a color temperature knob, you've got a dimmer knob, you've got buttons, menu, and enter. Lots of controls here, and this is going to be physically separate from the light. Here is the power brick, which actually has a little V-mount clip on the back of it. So I'm only guessing this is just like a dead clip. So you clip it onto the back of this control unit so it will hold on. And then you actually plug it in with this, which is kind of like an XLR cable, but it does have 4 pins inside of it. So not quite the same. Then plug it into the wall with the included power cable. So that goes over here. This appears to be the mount for a light stand, and it looks like it's 2-ended. So we'll see about that in a minute. There's a bracket, which folds out kind of like this. It can go about as far as you want. And again, we'll see what that's for in a minute, presumably. Because now we are down to the last thing in the case, which should be the light itself in this tube. And if you haven't already guessed, if it's in this tube, it's got to be rolled up. There it is. So this is the Falcon, as you can see down here at the bottom, RX-24TDX Rolex LED light. This is the connector that we'll go ahead and attach to the controller, and they just kind of fit together like this. You can see there's a little bit of a notch in this one, and there's a little divot in that, so you just fit them together and screw it together. Should be a very nice solid connection. Then on the back of the panel, all the way around the outside, there's the other side of the Velcro. So in theory, we can Velcro this panel to this, and then attach this to this bracket. This is going to take a little bit of work. And actually, while we're at it, let's go ahead and just hook everything up and power it up. So I'll put this in the V-mount here. There we go. They just sort of click together like that. Plug the cable in this end, and then plug in the power. And there we go. Now that I've plugged it in, I went ahead and flipped it to mode 2. That's using this for power. You can see it says 3250 Kelvin. I might have accidentally tapped it along the way. It goes down as low as 3000. It's set to 6%, and I can take it up by hand, or again, I can use these knobs to do the same thing. So I can take it all the way up or back down. It goes down to 0 if you want it to. Hit menu, and it allows you to set the channel ID, because this does, as the little antenna implies, have a built-in wireless. So if you wanted to use a remote or have a bunch of things trigger at once, a bunch of these, you could do that. But in terms of controlling it, it's mainly just these 2 knobs or the buttons associated with it. And then as you can see down here, this is 1%, and it goes all the way up to 100%, and then all the way over to 5600 Kelvin. And just looking back in the main camera, boy, that's bright, and I've only got it unfolded about 1/3 of the way. And that's unfolded the rest of the way, and I'm at 60% right now. Yes, I do have everything set to manual, so it's not going to adjust for this surface of the sun level brightness at 5600 Kelvin. Whew! But let me take just a couple of minutes and see if I can get this unrolled and Velcroed onto things, put it on a light stand, and we'll do some testing with it. And just a few minutes later, I do have it set up. I used one of the light stands that I already owned and just got everything hooked up. The hardest part was actually this. I used the little included metal stand, and basically down in every corner there's a little pocket that you can tuck it into. You kind of have to give the metal a little bit of a bend so that everything will fit. But like I said, it did go on there pretty easily, and as you can see, super small. And when you're all said and done with it, you can just take it off of all this, roll it back up, and store it. So you get a really nice size source of light that you can roll up and take with you wherever you want to go, because it does roll up to be so small. And then just in terms of the light itself, I'm just going to turn it on to where I had it before. And I'm completely, wow. This camera that I'm filming with right now, it's a Sony a5100, and I do have it set to automatic mode, so it is adjusting appropriately. But I've got the light at 5600 Kelvin at 59%, so I can actually turn it down. I can turn it way down. The light right now is about 1.5 to 2 feet away, so like I can reach out and actually touch the LEDs. And you can see, because it doesn't actually come with any sort of covering, it's a little bit of a harsh light. So actually I ran up to my attic and found this little softbox scrim. It's about the perfect size to completely cover it. There you go, just went ahead and covered it up. And now the light is a little bit less harsh. And I should mention it, I have the light at 5%. Again, it's very close to me, so I could actually turn around. Like you can see, I'm very close to it, but I could always move it back. I could move away from it so I could turn it up brighter. So now I'm a little farther back. I'm about 5 feet away from it. I turned the light up to about 20%, so you can probably tell the background is lit up a little bit more. But again, this is one light, and when I turn around to it, look how large that light is and how bright it is. I do still have it diffused with the softbox, but there's so much more wiggle room in terms of just the amount of light that this thing can put out. And I went ahead and switched it over to the 3000 Kelvin. I set the white balance on my camera to be incandescent to sort of go along with it. So if you prefer that sort of look, you can definitely have that. I'm still at 20% though, so if I wanted to, I can still keep turning it up and keep turning it up until eventually I hit 100%. And as you can see, the background's getting a lot more dim, but I am completely covered. Very easy to see, but I can always take it back down, make the background a little bit easier to see. A lot of flexibility, and I definitely appreciate that. And we're back down to 20%, and now I'm actually facing the light properly. I'm directly facing it, so the entirety of my face is covered by it. I could technically move the light up or down, I could angle it, I could basically whatever I need to do. And then when it's all said and done, roll it back up and put it in a tube and be able to pack it away to take it with me to a next location. The biggest downside that I'm seeing about this thing so far is just this gigantic piece of controller. Switch back over to 5500 Kelvin just so I could be a little more comfortable. But like I said, this controller is a little big, it's a little heavy and bulky, but if you're setting up lighting for filming anything, you're gonna understand you're gonna have all sorts of wires and adapters and cables and pieces and parts. I do, however, enjoy the fact that if you have a V-mount battery or like a V-mount to Sony adapter for using Sony batteries, you could technically power this just using a Sony battery, or just any kind of battery that's V-mount, which is not that bad. But just very early, very initial impressions, I love the amount of light this thing puts out. It's actually overpowering the amount that it puts out. And if you're a filmmaker or a photographer or just someone who's in a business that you need a lot of light that's very easily transportable, $500 for it is really not asking all that much. I've seen a lot of lights smaller than this that run over $1,000. So having something like this that you can roll up and put away, I find that to be really cool. And usually when a light is bicolor, you lose a lot of light, but this thing is so big, it has so many LEDs in it, 750 something, that's really not that big of a deal. They do have other options for it on Amazon where they bundle it with other things to make it a little bit more useful, things to help diffuse the light or remote controls and whatnot. But just the bare light itself, whenever I put this white scrim material on it, I'm definitely liking how soft it is, especially if I move back from it a little bit. And I like how much light it's capable of putting out. If I need to light up an entire room, this thing is going to be able to do it for me. So let me know what you think of it. Do you think this light is worth 500 bucks? If you're in that kind of field, if you're in photography or videography, would you be willing to pay that kind of amount for something like this that can roll up whenever you're done with it and put it away? I cannot stress that enough. Being able to just take it down very quickly and put it away, so nice. Either way, thanks so much to Falcon for sending this out for me to take a look at. I definitely appreciate it, and I'll see what I can do to incorporate it into my existing setup, because that's a lot of light. Thanks so much to you guys for watching. Hit the like button if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already and you like what I'm doing here and you want to help me get to 100,000 subscribers. Definitely appreciate that. And I'll see you again next time.